So the jigsaw is an awesome little tool because this thing can cut just about any kind of cut. It all depends on what kind of blade you're using and the setup that you have for it. This is actually the first power tool that I learned how to use when I was a kid. So it's real easy, simple to use. So for the blades, on these jigsaws, there's a little blade holder sliding out right here. So I've got a wood cutting blade in all of our jigsaws. You can get different kinds of blades. So this is one of the adjustments that can be made. So I've got this wood blade, but you can also get a metal cutting blade to cut through like aluminum, steel, anything like that. You can get blades that will cut through plexiglass, like all sorts of materials. It just depends on the kind of material that you're cutting through, and you should have the appropriate blade to match it. For the most part, we're cutting up these wood materials. So I'm going to put this blade in a second, but first I want to show you some of the other adjustments, features on here. So I've got everything unplugged right now. So that's rule number one. Whenever we're making an adjustment, we always have the jigsaw unplugged. We know we can change the blades in there depending on what kind of material that we're going to cut. We can also adjust the angle at which the jigsaw is going to cut. Most of the time it's sitting upright like this, so it'll give you a nice square cut to the top surface. But I can push this base plate forward and it'll tilt. So now we can cut bevels, right? So it'll lean this way, it'll also lean the opposite way. Okay, so we can cut bevels, we could make straight cuts, but the cut that jigsaws are best used for is curved cuts. So we're going to set it up to do a curved cut. Now, the way this works is a lot like the drill. So I'm going to plug this in and I'm just going to show you how the trigger works with this saw. All right, so just like the drill, the more we pull the trigger, the faster it's going to reciprocate back and forth. Right, so now it's slow and faster. Then, if you know you're going to be holding that trigger for a long time, there's also a trigger lock on here. So we just depress the trigger, activate the trigger lock, and then we can let go of the trigger and continue making our cuts. So if I pull the trigger, and I just squeeze the trigger again to unlock the trigger lock. Right, so that's how that's done. So I need to put a blade in here, so I am going to unplug it. To put in the blade, on the chuck, there's this little black sleeve. We just pull that black sleeve back, then I put the bit in so the teeth are facing out away from the jigsaw, and then you let go of that little sleeve on the chuck. So now the blade should be in there secure. And we're all set to cut. We just need to plug it in. So I'll plug it in again. And now we're going to get our material ready. I want to make a curved cut, so I'm just going to draw a curved line across here. Then we need to secure the material. So you have some options. The first option is clamps. And if you're going to clamp it down on the table, I suggest using these orange bar clamps. Try to put two of them on there. These are going to give you the best holding power. So I've got one over here and one over here. This thing shouldn't be moving on me. Another option is to use one of the vices at your table, depending on how big your material is and where you're cutting on the material. Right, so I've got my curved line all set. So I am going to position my hands on the jigsaw. One hand on the trigger, the other up in the front of the jigsaw, because I want to maintain a 4-inch safety clearance, just like every other tool. So when your hands are both on the jigsaw like this, that prevents you from getting your hands into the cut line at all. Right, so the trick with this is to have the base flat onto the material, and then we're just going to get it going, and you follow your line, and that's about it. Alright, so there's my curved cut, and that's how we use the jigsaw.